Our next speaker is a friend of mine, Cindy Gallop. See, now I can't screw this up. Now that one bio has been screwed up, now the rest have to be perfect. Cindy Gallop, her background is brand building, marketing, and advertising. She started up the US office of ad agency Bartle Hogle Hagerty in New York in 1998, and in 2003 was named Advertising Woman of the Year. She is the founder and CEO of IfWeRanTheWorld.com, a web meets world platform that turns good intentions into actions, one micro action at a time. She is also very famous for an incredible TED Talk, which you can check out online at TED.com. Without further ado, please give a warm welcome to Cindy Gallop. A warmer welcome. Continue the welcome. That's what I'm talking about. Thank you. Can we turn the mic on? Turn the microphone on.
So, oh God, I hate, no, hang on, it's working now, hallelujah, I hate hand mics. Great to be here. Hello, Montreal. I'm going to talk to you about what I think you need to take account of if you want to start up something that puts a dent in the universe. I'm going to be completely subjective, and you are entirely free to disagree with me. We can take it outside later. I actually have a great deal to say on this subject, but today I only have 20 minutes. So I'm going to talk to you about three things. I'm going to talk to you about emotion, I'm going to talk to you about money, and I'm going to talk to you about discomfort. Emotion. Everything in life starts with how you feel about yourself. Everything in business, in your career, starts with how you feel about yourself. And equally, if you want to launch, build, and grow a successful startup, it starts with how you feel about yourself, how you feel about what you're doing, and how you feel about yourself doing it. Your startup has to flow out of things that you passionately believe in, that you passionately feel are missing from the world, that you passionately believe you are the only person who can really help address whatever it is that you want to address. And the reason that's important, the reason that you have to feel emotional and passionate about what you're starting, is because you're going to pitch your startup approximately 15 million times to 15 million different audiences, and you had better thoroughly enjoy it every single time. You had better love what you're talking about so much you never ever get bored and tired of talking about it. You're also going to need to feel emotional about it, to be passionate, because it's going to be absolutely goddamn fucking hell. You're going to have a really, really horrible time. You're going to have many moments where you go, why the hell did I ever think I could possibly do this? You're going to have moments where you're going to go, I want to stop doing this now, and please, can I just go home and I want my mummy? Trust me, I know exactly what I'm talking about. And so you have to be emotional. You have to be passionate because, as Joss Whedon said at South by Southwest this year, you have to have passion when everyone thinks you're out of your fucking mind. Emotion is also important from another perspective, because you need to design emotion into your startup and into your product. And I'll give you an example of what I mean with regard to one of my own startups. So I'm a naturally very action-oriented person. I'm all about making things happen. I totally believe in be the change you want to see. And I have, quite frankly, a very low tolerance level for people who whinge and whine about stuff and never do anything to change it. All of this made me realize that arguably the single biggest pool of untapped natural resource in this world is human good intentions that never translate into action. But then, coming from a background of 27 years working in advertising, I realized there's another, equally large, equally powerful, equally untapped pool of resource, which is corporate good intentions. Because companies have good intentions too. But just like people, They find it really hard to find quick, easy, and simple ways to act on them, importantly in a corporate context, in ways that then make sense for and actively help drive their business. So I started If We Ran the World. And I started it because I wanted to bring human good intentions and corporate good intentions together to help redesign the future of business. Because I believe the future of business is about doing good and making money simultaneously. I believe that the business model of the future is shared values plus shared action equals shared profit. And when I say shared profit, I mean shared financial profit and shared social profit. So, If We Ran the World is a marketing platform of the future. Most future-forward brands have only gotten as far as the level in their marketing programs that I call co-creation. They invite consumers to create content and share it. If We Ran the World is all about the level beyond that, which is co-action. Brands and consumers micro-acting together to create impacts in the real world that benefit consumers, benefit society, and benefit the brand and its business. Now, when I embarked on this, I realized, however, that for a lot of people and companies in this world, the whole idea of doing good is inherently very, very boring. When you go to the homepage of many a non-profit social enterprise, you're often met by an instant yawn factor born of worthy but dull syndrome. I know this is very good for me. Oh my God, I'm half asleep already. So I decided I wanted to find a way to make doing good sexy as hell. Sexy as hell for individuals and very sexy and compelling for businesses. And by the way, you make something sexy for businesses when you show them how it makes them money. So If We Ran the World is what I call emotional software. It's the synthesis of technology and psychology. It represents, on the one hand, rational functionality and technology, but on the other hand, it's a result of a huge amount of study of many layers of human psychological motivation and emotional dynamics. Because it's only when you combine the two that you achieve the single hardest task in the world, which is to change human behavior. And I tend to say that I have the best possible background for a venture designed to turn good intention into action, because I've spent 27 years working in the business of getting people to do things they originally had no intention of doing, which is advertising. So emotion is something that it's really important you design into your product, because the success of your startup also depends not just on what you're building, and not just on what it enables people to do, but on how it makes them feel about themselves when they do it. And by the way, and I'll come back to this later on in my talk, it's no coincidence that in designing emotional software, I have a tech team that is more female than male. Didn't set out to create it that way, hired the best people, that's what happened, but actually the synthesis of technology and psychology is something particularly well achieved when you have both women and men working on it together. The second thing I want to talk about is money. And I want to talk about it in several different contexts. I mentor and advise a number of entrepreneurs and startups. And I get quite frustrated by the two knee-jerk responses I always get to the question, what's your business model? Knee-jerk reaction number one, advertiser funded. And whereupon I explain that I come from the advertising industry. There aren't enough advertisers to go around all the startups that say their business model is advertiser funded. Knee-jerk reaction number two, no business model. Build it and they will come, hit critical mass, sell it on to somebody else who can work out how to monetize it. I'm boringly old-fashioned. I design my startups around business models designed to make money from day one. Shock horror, how old-fashioned of me. But the reason why I want to bring this up with this particular audience is because where I think that approach derives from is that people tend to think that there are a set number of business models out there, and when you start a venture, you must pick one of them. No, you don't have to. Your business model can be anything you want it to be, just as your business can be anything you want it to be. You can design your business model around whatever you want. So think about, how would I like to make money? Ask yourself that question, and then design your business model around how you would like to make money. And when you approach it like that, there are some very interesting opportunities to make money. So I guess, I have a particular issue with the knee-jerk reaction of advertiser-funded, because that presupposes one thing. It presupposes that your business model is selling advertising, and it presupposes that you will be selling advertising units. The future is not advertising units. The future is advertising products. Something I'm having enormous trouble convincing my own industry of, by the way, but something that you have the opportunity to think about as you design your business model from ground zero. The fact of the matter is that in the world we live in today, with the extraordinary access we have to data, you can craft really, really interesting things and really interesting products that you can absolutely sell to advertisers, brands, and advertising agencies to monetize whatever you decide you want your business model to be. This is a whole separate presentation itself, and so I don't want to spend too much time doing that, but I will just highlight one opportunity. Because today's consumer mindset is what I want, when I want, where I want it, how I want it. Lots of brands say they're consumer-centric, they're not. Because they are not taking account of that, and they're not realizing that that is an emotional mindset, and that you can make a lot of money out of that mindset. So the absolute epitome of what I want, when I want it, where I want it, how I want it is mobile. Huge opportunity for the future. But not in terms of delivering ads to mobile. Huge opportunity in terms of delivering things of value to mobile. And things of value, things that are useful, things that are delightful, can run across an entire spectrum. To give you just one example, what's the thing that the majority of us spend most of our time on our mobile devices doing? Email. What's the thing that is most massively detracting for most of us from our quality of life? Email. What if somebody solved the email problem? What if a brand solved the email problem in a way that was actually a brand-related product delivered to your mobile that helped you and incidentally drove an undying love for that brand because, oh my God, they solved that problem that is massively impacting your quality of life? That's a different way to think about advertising. So design your business model differently, particularly because there is another huge opportunity to do so today. I am enormously interested in the future of money. I wasn't that interested in the future of money about 6 months ago. I am now enormously interested, and the reason for that has to do with my other startup. So where my other startup comes from is, like IfWeRanTheWorld, when I come across something I feel strongly about, I do something about it. So I date younger men. They tend to be men in their 20s. Woo! And through dating younger men, I encountered very directly and personally the real ramification of the creeping ubiquity of hardcore pornography in our culture. Now, before I go any further, I should just ask two questions. A, does anybody in this audience object to the use of explicit sexual language? Because if you do, please leave this room now. And secondly, I notice a young gentleman in the front row. Are your companions okay with him staying there? I think he should, by the way, but it's up to you guys. Good? Cool. Just checking. Don't want the organizer getting in any trouble. So, we live in a world today where hardcore porn is more freely and widely available via the internet than ever before, where kids are therefore accessing it at earlier and earlier ages than ever before, and where we therefore now have, as I can personally testify, an entire generation growing up that believes that what you see in hardcore porn is the way that you have sex. And this is exacerbated because we all have sex, we never talk about it. So parents are usually way too embarrassed to actually teach their kids about sex. Schools and colleges run into issues if they try and make up the educational gap. And so hardcore porn has become, by default, the sex education of today. And that is not a good thing. So when I realized this, I launched 3.5 years ago on no money, so it's very basic, very clunky, very minimal, a website at MakeLoveNotPorn.com that posts the myths of hardcore porn and balances them with the reality. So the construct is porn world, real world. This is what happens in the porn world, this is what happens in the real world. And it's very important to say, by the way, that Make Love Not Porn is not anti-porn. I'm entirely pro-porn, watching myself. The issue I'm tackling is not porn. The issue I'm tackling is the complete lack in our society of an open, healthy dialogue around sex and porn, which would then allow people to bring a real-world mindset to the viewing of what is essentially artificial entertainment. If you boiled my entire message down to one thing, it'd be purely and simply talk about it. I had the chance to launch Make Love Not Porn at TED. I took a deliberate decision to be very explicit in my TED talk, because I knew that audience would not get this issue unless I was. As a result, everybody at TED 2009 remembers my talk. As one Twitterer said, it was the first time the words "come on my face" have been heard on the TED stage 6 times in succession. And the response to Make Love Not Porn has been extraordinary ever since, which is why I felt a huge personal responsibility to take it forwards in a way that will make it much more far-reaching, helpful, and effective. So what I am doing is I am planning to take every dynamic that exists out there in social media currently and apply them to the one area that no social media network or platform has ever gone or will ever dare to go, which is sex. I want to socialize sex. I would like to make real-world sex socially acceptable and therefore socially shareable in a way that, to be frank, nobody's achieved to date. I like a big goal. And to do with Make Love Not Porn in the 21st century, effectively what Hugh Hefner managed with Playboy in the 20th. Bring sex out into the open, legitimize it, create a public platform for public discussion in the public domain. At the same time, I would like to help redefine exactly what constitutes porn, and I would like to help design a different future for porn. You have no idea how difficult it is doing this. It took me 2 years to get MakeLoveNotPorn.tv funded. Very ironic. I should be every VC's wet dream, literally. I have an idea enabled by technology, designed to disrupt a sector worth billions of dollars in a way that is both socially beneficial and potentially very lucrative. But because that sector is porn, and the social benefit is to sexuality, no VC would come near me. I finally found an angel investor, got the seed funding I needed, closed on funding last fall, could not get my hands on the actual money for 2 months because I could not find a single bank in the US that would allow me to open a business banking account for a business that has the word porn in the name, even though the name is Make Love Not Porn and I have a social mission. My single biggest operational challenge has been putting a payments infrastructure in place. I designed MakeLoveNotPorn.tv, as it will be, around a very innovative business model. But because we are what the world deems adult content, we can't work with PayPal, we can't work with Amazon, we can't work with Google Checkout, we can't work with any of the big merchant partner gateways. I got so frustrated, I said to my CTO, we're trying to invent the future of porn. I want to talk to anybody inventing the future of money. Let's research every fintech startup out there, because I want to find the people as frustrated with the old world order system of money and payments as I am from a different perspective, and we want to work with them. So we're working with Ben Milne of Dwolla, Patrick Collison of Stripe, Sahil Lavindra of Gumroad. How many of you are familiar with Gumroad? Gumroad monetizes links. It's like Bitly monetized. You can use Gumroad to sell anything. You can sell a blog post, a video, a photograph. You could sell a piece of information. But that's radical. New forms of money and payments mean completely new business models for the future. Rethink how you want to make money, because there is extraordinary power in the people who are inventing the future of money and payments alongside you. And there needs to be a lot more crossover between every sector, because that revolutionizes everything. And the third and last thing I want to talk about is discomfort. It's very comfortable hanging out with people like yourself. It's very comfortable starting up businesses with people like you. It's very comfortable hiring people like you. It's very comfortable funding people like you. And I'm telling you this because I look at this audience and I see a male-dominated audience. The men who want to work with women to reinvent the future need to be prepared for discomfort. Because discomfort comes when you work with the other. It's not comfortable working with somebody who thinks differently from you, who has different perspectives from you, but out of that discomfort comes greatness. Women challenge things that men don't. Women question things that men don't. And yes, at the personal end, those questions can be, what are you thinking? Where is this relationship going? But in a business context, those questions can be, why are we spending this much money on this? Why do people not seem to want to speak up when so-and-so is part of a meeting? Why is this happening when it shouldn't be? And I want to talk about this to this audience because I believe the future is absolutely about equal numbers of men and women creating phenomenal startups that put a dent in the universe. Women form the majority of users of social media and networks. Women are the majority of purchasers in e-commerce. Women are the majority of gamers, and women are the majority of people who articulate themselves as digital personas online. I'm astounded at the number of tech startups targeting men and women that have all-male founding teams and all-male tech teams. You absolutely need both perspectives if you want to own the future across both genders. And so I would really urge you to do things that make yourself uncomfortable when you start up a business, and as part of that, actively embrace the discomfort that comes when you hire, you co-found, you employ, and you fund people who aren't like you, because that's how you get to the really great stuff. I'm aware that I'm about to run out of time, so the last thing I want to say is, my favorite quote of all time is Alan Kay, who said, in order to predict the future, you have to invent it. I am all about inventing the future. Too many people feel the future is something that happens without us and rolls us over in its wake. I believe in deciding what you want the future to be and in making it happen. And every single one of you in this audience has the opportunity to do that. I was actually going to wear my Wayland Yutani t-shirt today, but it was so hot I went for the sundress instead. And we may not be doing it in the way that Peter Wayland quite intended, but every single one of us here today is building better worlds. We all want to build a better world than the one we see around us currently. We all want to create something that will put a dent in the universe in a way that really changes things, that really makes things different. And as I said earlier, that starts with how we feel about ourselves and our ability to do that. You have to have something you passionately believe in. You have to design that passion into your product. You have to find creative new ways to make money from it, because making money is very important, because you get taken seriously when you get taken seriously financially, and money helps you scale and do bigger things when you are doing something really worthwhile. And you need to do that, embracing the discomfort that is about working with the most diverse group of people you possibly can, for the most diverse amount of opinions you possibly can. And when you do that, that is absolutely when you do the impossible. That is when you can say, those people who say it can't be done should get out of the way of those people doing it. And that's when, to quote, the guy that we all love to quote, you realize that the people who are crazy enough to think they can change the world are the ones who do. Thank you very much.